is why they make the big bucks. Leader Fan Radio Network.
It's frustrating.
And KFAN.com. 2 minutes and 41 seconds past the hour of 3 o'clock Central Daylight Time. We welcome you back to a Monday edition of the Bumper to Bumper program. My name's Dan Barreiro, former Ink Stain Wretch, newspaper of the Twin Cities, also affectionately referred to as the A-hole in the afternoon. Guardsy is the producer of the broadcast, and we are delighted that you are along for today's Monday ride. We'll give you details on the uglydeck.com guest lineup in just a couple of minutes. We'll remind you this is, I think, another bonus bucks week. Is that correct?
It is. I have the list right in front of me.
Outstanding. We will reboot as quickly as is possible the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. I'm looking for my verification code as we speak. Let's see if I can find it via the hadn't come in yet. Funny. No verification code yet. Well, once I get that, I'll put that in. It'll probably be wrong. And then I'll have to redo the whole process again. But eventually, we will reconnect to the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, and you will have every opportunity, unless you have already been blocked, to participate in today's festivities. Where do we begin? Well, I think we do begin there. I don't know. Do we know how much money Bill Guerin makes?
I don't know.
I don't have a clue. Close circuit to Russo?
Yeah.
I'm going to assume hockey general managers don't make as much as NBA general managers, or will that offend the Kevin Fallnesses of the world? I think it's just factual.
Well, yeah, the truth cannot be controversial.
I don't think so. I'm going to say Guerin makes $6 million a year.
That's high.
Really?
Well, it could be high.
Okay. $4 million a year?
According to the AI overview that I just did.
Is it pretty accurate?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Front Office Sports is being cited here. You would think they would know.
They'd have something.
Front Office Sports.
All right.
Most NHL general managers earn between $2 and $3 million a year. Established GMs with multiple championships or long tenures often exceed $3 million a year. So I'm guessing he's probably in the $3 million-ish.
Probably 3 to 4.
And he's also president of hockey operations.
Yeah.
Does that add?
That's a good question. I don't know how that works.
I don't know how it works either. I assume it added more money.
Our 3:30 guest who's going to be in studio will probably be able to answer our question about Tim Conley. We know he makes more than that.
Yeah.
Is it?
I thought it was like 13 or 14.
It's
now.
over. It's double digits.
Yeah.
It's over 10.
Yeah.
For sure, I think. And maybe that keeps going up. I don't know.
I think he's in 8 figures.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. That would be 8 figures. I went with the 2 just because of the double digits on the number of millions. The number 10 or above. Okay, that's a lot more money than Bill Guerin probably.
Mm-hmm.
But relatively speaking to their sports, that's big money. And that goes with off seasons that appear as challenging, daunting, perhaps even exciting for the local professional basketball team and the local professional hockey team. I think the general perception is that Conley has a lot more work to do than does Guerin. I'd agree with that to a point, but I think it's a little trickier than that, and I still think there's a few too many assumptions being made about the notion that we're on the brink of a Stanley Cup. I'm sorry. I like the makeup of the club. I know who we had to play in the second round. I still think there's some significant questions that need to be addressed and answered on the hockey side, and we certainly know that's the case on the basketball side. And the difference, I think, between the two jobs, because even if you think the Guerin job is simpler in that there's not a feeling that you sort of have to reconfigure the roster in a significant way, you still have to get the grand prize. The grand prize, maybe even he's willing to admit it at this point, is a big-time center. He has downplayed that in the past. I don't know how much he poo-pooed it today, but I thought I read a quote from him today indicating that, that's something they're going to try to pursue. And it sounds good to talk about it, but that doesn't necessarily make it easy to do it. In fact, I would still submit to you, it may be as hard as anything Tim Connelly has to do, even if it's one item rather than 3 or 4 in the case of what's perceived as Connelly's responsibility in this offseason, because you still have the catch-22, do you not? If you buy the notion, and many of the hockey jackals, media jackals say this or have written this, that given how much we've given up, your best trading chip is the goaltender who, coming out of this series, is now perceived as your best goaltender.
And your only goaltender who's not having surgery.
We were going to get to that.
Yeah.
That's another good point. A surgery, by the way, in which Guerin confirmed today they're not sure yet whether he'd be ready for the start of training camp.
Exactly.
So that's challenging. That's why they pay him the big bucks. How creative can you get with this sort of thing? I mean, we threw around yesterday the idea of, well, what if you decide Wallstedt's too good to trade at this point, could you convince Gus Bus to, waive the no trade to get him out of town? I think a lot of people think he can be convinced, depending on where he'd end up.
Right.
But of course now the complication is his health. Unfortunately, that may answer this question. But I guess what I was asking, could you go the other route, which is we're not going to get greatness at center probably for Gus Bus, but we might be able to get goodness at center, another center, so that we don't lose our minds and fall apart at the seams when Eriksson Ek's not available. Is that a better way to balance out the roster? The other question we asked yesterday, and this is a great one for hockey minds, which is a requirement to win a cup? And you can only pick one of the two. Which is a requirement? A great center or a great goaltender?
I think the latter.
I think history will tell you it's the former.
Interesting. You just need a hot goaltender?
You certainly have to have a competent goaltender to above average. That's the sticky wicket. What you can't do is hope and wish on a prayer that you can win with an inconsistent, erratic goaltender who gets hot for a while but then goes in the tank for 4 games. So it's a sticky wicket, but that's the challenge. There are some people who believe that we still need to add one more defenseman too. So the mission seems clearer for Guerin, but it's tricky if you buy the notion that you can no longer trade Wallstedt. Some people don't buy that. Many people do. If you buy that notion, can you actually give yourself much of a chance to get the quote-unquote, not good center, but great center, top 5 center in the National Hockey League? That's the sticky wicket. Where else are you going to go? I mean, even Louis has said, how many other assets do we have? Now, I already know that we got another young goaltender, allegedly, that we love. Is he far enough along where you could get haughty about that and say, we're not worried, we got another one waiting? I don't know. On the Wolves side, I think it's viewed, rightly to a degree, as a little more comprehensive. As far as I know, there were not, in any of the exit interviews from Wild players, much discussion about moodiness, crankiness, and who scores and how often and when. In the case of the Wolves, let's face it, if you want to believe what the players continue to tell us, and at some point you sort of have to, they can't get out of their own way because they like each other, but they don't like necessarily on a given night that one of the guys they like is scoring more than they are. That's what they're saying. That's what they're telling us over and over again. So that would indicate the challenge for Conley is more comprehensive about changing the locker room. No one's, I think, demanding or saying that there's any need for the Wild to change the locker room. You could argue Guerin did that when he traded away Parise and Suter, or at least that's the idea, even though that cost us for a number of years in other ways, financially. In the Wolves, it's that fundamental issue, not to mention We need a dead-eye. No, I keep using that term. It's the wrong term. Dead-eye shooter. We do need a point guard. And we have the players that are the most attractive in trade to other teams are the players we probably are loath to deal.
Right.
Obviously, Anthony Edwards is one. Jaden McDaniels is two. And I dare say Naz Reid might be three. And why are they the most attractive? Well, they represent different things. They're all still pretty young, too, right? They're all in their mid-20s, if I'm not mistaken. So you'd say that's another reason to want to hold on to them if you can get this next iteration of the team to be a factor again if you've made a number of other changes. So it's in the case of Tim Connelly, it's two things. It's mixing up the talent to deal with some significant holes in your roster, and then also dealing with whatever brew has been concocted in this locker room that makes it so difficult for these guys to just enjoy playing a great game, making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars doing. They just don't seem to have that joy. Julius Randle. But also, and we're going to get to this with Johnny, I'll submit this to you. I don't want to just make this, in terms of the moodiness scale, it's easy on Julius.
For sure.
He's an easy target.
Yeah.
He makes himself an easy target. He was dreadful in this last series. There was literally no reason to keep him on the court in the second half, to start the second half of Game 6. That's something that the head coach should have to answer for. Ridiculous that he put him back out there. You can't do that with a straight face. I don't care who you have to put out there, and I don't care if you might have even lost by 50 instead of 30. Whatever. You can't put him back out there. But there is moodiness beyond him. In his own way, Jaden McDaniels is also moody in a sense that can be detrimental and destructive to a team. As much as we love his defense, as much as we all saluted the greatest offensive game he's played as a professional that cemented a memorable Game 6 elimination of the Denver Nuggets in round 1, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How does he get moody? He gets mad when he thinks he gets wrongly called for a foul. And then what does he do? He pouts, hangs his head. And if he's in a really bad mood, you want to talk about the really immature thing to do? I'm going to foul again. I'll show you, ref. I'm going to foul again. Go ahead and call this one too. How does that help the team? So that is also part of the challenge for Tim Connelly. In both cases, I think the challenges are pretty significant. And it's when people in their positions can make their money, or they can pretty much assure that they're not going to be around forever, right? I mean, these are the sorts of decisions that change the direction of franchises for better or for worse. And in every one of them, there are gambles involved, right? If you trade Volstead, that's a gamble. You may be fine with it, but that's a gamble that might haunt you. He might end up being Tretiak. And in the case of the Wolves, they can come up with different ideas, like we're going to go get Giannis, but then we might not have any players left. There's a million ways to look at it. Let's get our first pause in now. In fact, let's get some bonus bucks going right now. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open at 646-86. Is it fair to say you agree between these two teams, there are 3 untradeable players in the minds of the general managers or presidents of the sports operations involved? Anthony Edwards is not going to be traded.
Right.
At least not yet.
Right.
Quinnesota is not going to be traded.
Right.
And Kaprizov, even though some people are down on him, to me, I think those are, between these two teams, those are the only 3 players you can say for certainty.
Ooh.
I don't even put Jaden in there anymore.
What about Boldy?
Well, that's a good question.
I think you have to put in.
You think you do?
To Jonny Athletic's chagrin, don't come at me with Matt Boldy, as he so famously proclaimed a couple years ago.
That's true.
I don't think you can put Boldy in there either.
Yeah. All right, let's get the bonus bucks.
FanandBigDeck.com. I'm going to give you a shot to win bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest. First keyword of the week for us is cash. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword cash.
You are listening to Barreiro on the Fan.
From the 1-800 Ask Gary Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by
Athletic is going to join us in studio, Guardsy tells me.
I just let him in. He's behind me right now.
Next, starting at the bottom of the hour, if you have questions for him, hit the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line. One of the items we'll discuss with him, you said you had a lot of sound. Do you have the Anthony Edwards sound regarding the apparent challenges he and his teammates have following the coach's game plan?
I do. Would you like that?
Yes.
We just got to listen to the coaches. Yeah. We had a hard time of, processing stuff and going out there and doing it. We try to do stuff on our own. I think that's our problem.
Do you feel like the regular season is the time to start building that stuff?
Yeah, I feel like you're supposed to build championship habits or playoff habits in the regular season. Yeah, great question. I think so, yeah.
I'll be damned. I hadn't thought of that, did you?
No.
Never come up before.
We never brought it up.
Well, one of the things I'm going to talk to Johnny about is we've talked for weeks about changing the mix of players if indeed that is one of their fundamental flaws. And we'll talk to Johnny also about how seriously he takes some of the vetting from players after. Are they talking just because they got to answer questions, or are they talking and saying stuff that they actually believe and that Johnny agrees with? But I got to tell you, I've not, and I don't intend to call for the head coach's head, but he's going to have to convince me that sort of candor from several parts of this team that we heard either Friday night or Saturday is not, in part, an indictment on the leadership. I just don't think you can get past it at some point. Now, the comeback might be these guys are what they are. At some point, they're pretty formed, and there's only so much that a coach who's aware of these issues can do. I still would say at some point, some of that absolutely has to come back on the head coach if players continue to be what sounds to be so frivolous about it. It's like, what are we doing? It's too big a business. We're paying you guys too much money. We can't guarantee a title. We know that. There's a lot of factors that go into that. And this year, injuries certainly got in the way, and you can't predict that, and you can't accommodate that necessarily. But I mean, how do we, you tell me, I mean, how do you accommodate that? Whoever you want to blame it on. It's maddening. It's got to be maddening to hear. And it comes, how many did we lose by that night? 30?
At least, yeah.
We lost by 38, 29, and 30 in this series. And I'll argue with Johnny about this, too. If he wants a fight, I'll give it to him.
You think Johnny Blaine's showing up today?
If he goes, well, we'll find out. If he goes with, because I'm already hearing this, one of the narratives locally, what are you going to do? Spurs are just better. I mean, look at them. They got a lottery pick who's a 1. They got a lottery pick who's a 4. They got a lottery pick that's a 2. What do you want? What are we doing?
Ooh, boy.
I don't disagree with what we saw. The Spurs are better. That doesn't explain, for me, losing by 38, 29, 30. Sorry. It can't wash for me. It can't fly for me. I'd be flying around that bleeping locker room is what I'd be doing. I'd be tearing stuff up in that locker room. Moody? How about I'm moody as Tim Connolly, the guy's in charge? You think I'm not moody watching this crap? Come on, guys. Are you serious? So we'll get into all that with Johnny for sure. Dare I do it? I got into this argument again yesterday. Is it fool's gold at this point, Guardsy? On Rudy? I could make the argument, writes 218 guy, that Conley's the reason we're in the situation we're in. He mortgaged the future for a guy, Gobert, who disappears when really needed. How many? I mean, should I just give up the fight?
Yeah, I gave it up a long time ago.
It's just.
You don't talk politics or Rudy Gobert on holidays.
That's probably the best way. You can't do it.
Because you can't convince the other side.
No, you absolutely, it's just as polarizing. Maybe more polarizing.
I think it's more polarizing. I think we care more about the basketball.
Doesn't matter what every statistic indicates. I'll tell you one thing. Trade him. Go ahead, trade him. And maybe you need to trade him.
And maybe they will trade him.
And see, we'll probably give up an average of 145 points a night unless you do something defensively. People just don't get it because they fixate on limitations.
That he can't catch,
offensively,
that he can't make free throws.
Which are legit. And this was not this was a bad series for him.
He got cooked.
You can say that.
It's okay.
But it's okay to not reduce it to any single series and open your eyes a little bit before you go down that particular road. But that's the water cooler kind of conversation. Questions for Johnny? They're already flying in to the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Bill Guerin will not join us today, Guardsy tells me. He is scheduled to join us Thursday. Is that correct?
3:00 in studio.
I'm hoping to get Tim Conley, later in the week. I would love to have an exit interview with Mike Conley. We should at least talk to the Wolves people about that. I got to believe he might do one more with us as kind of an exit interview.
He might be back.
He said he's not retiring.
No.
Now, whether it's here or not, I don't know if there's room for him here. But he's making it sound like he's still got some basketball that he wants to try to play. Johnny is...
By the way, on this show?
Yes.
There's always a role for Mike Conley.
Well, that's very true.
Just remember that.
Hard to argue with that. I don't think any of us would disagree with that at all. We'll come back and chat with... We'll cut open with we'll take when they do an autopsy, what kind of knife do they take to the body? Do you know?
I'm sad to say I don't know.
It's not an X-Acto knife, right? No, that wouldn't be. It'd be a little more surgical than an X-Acto.
I'm sure we have someone that's performed autopsies in the audience.
Scalpel?
Could be. Yeah.
We're going to do that. The autopsy's coming on your favorite basketball team. And if you got some hockey insight to pass along to Johnny, that's on the table as well. Don't go away. Justin Jefferson. Come on, man.
And he's on the Dan Barreiro right now.
This is a momentous day. Jonny Athletic is in studio. And, Guardsy, do we know about... I just saw JJ being interviewed. Was it on Good Morning Football? Looked like he was in a studio at TCO. What's with the sunglasses? Is that a new look for him?
I don't think it's a new look.
He does that a lot?
He's sunglasses almost all the time. Target Center, he's always wearing them.
That's great.
It's the new look.
Not bad.
It's the new look for the kids.
I see. Yeah. No one in the 60s or 70s ever wore sunglasses to interviews. Brand spanking new. I bring that up because I know you got a bounce in your step today. It appears we are indeed going to be the host city.
That's right.
2028, is it? National Football League draft.
How about that?
Excited are you?
Cannot wait. Cannot wait to not be anywhere close to downtown that weekend because those things get crazy. So I will be probably either out at Egan or maybe the Wolves will be in the playoffs and I'll just be blissfully unaware.
It sounds like we're so intentional in our plan that there'll be some downtown stuff. There'll be some TCOs. It's like
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's one Minnesota.
It's one Minnesota. It's exactly what it is.
So there's no getting away from it, is what you're saying.
And I assume the new owners will be very excited about that too, because the Wilfs won't be around then, right?
That's
the team
right.
will be sold by then for sure.
Yes, cashing out. Why not? Get out where the getting is good.
Strange sight to me. Thanks for coming in. Good to see you. It's been way too long, but if not now, when?
That's right. perfect time.
All right, let's try to get a number of things out of the way early, and then we'll let you go in any direction you would like to go. What is a fair interpretation of Julius Randle not participating in the exit interviews? I think the only rotation player who did not. Is that correct?
That's right. I think, we've talked ad nauseum about the highs and the lows that he goes with, and he is in a low right now after that terrible series and really not a very good playoffs. And I think I have not spoken to him. I don't know. I haven't spoken to his representation, but he definitely does internalize when his name comes up in trade rumors and things of that nature. It happened at the trade deadline in February. I'm sure he's seen a lot of the calls for the Wolves to get rid of him now. And so, it doesn't seem like he is in any kind of a mood to share his thoughts. And so I wouldn't expect to hear from him anytime soon.
Is the M word Moody? Mm-hmm. He's an easy target.
Yeah.
I would argue to a certain extent he makes himself an easy target. Mm-hmm. However, is he too easy of a target? And when you hear and listen to other players that you are around and talk to a lot, use the M word, are they merely talking about him? Do you think it's deeper than that? Are there people who are every bit as much contributing to whatever that particular malaise is that seems to be hanging around is still a pretty damn good team?
Yeah, I think that certainly he is maybe driving the bus, but the bus is full. Like, that I can't make it any clearer than that. Like, this is not just a one-person issue. Like, and several of the guys did not single Julius out because I think that they know that there are multiple people within that locker room that do ride the emotional roller coaster a little bit more than they should. Nas is one. I think Jaden. I think Rudy. I think a lot of the guys in there kind of were in their feelings one way or another, at times during the season. Dante DiVincenzo said he was feeling that way as well at times. And so it is a group that sort of was as pervasive as I've been around in terms of just guys who would be kind of really caught up in, are they getting the shots? Are they getting the role? Is it going the right way for them? Who's getting opportunities over them? And so it was bubbling through most of the locker room for much of the season. And I think that the takeaway is, like, everyone thought that the continuity from last year to this year was going to be a good thing, whereas I think it turned into more complacency and a little bit more of kind of inward focus. And that was disappointing for sure.
The cliche applies, whether we're talking about the M word or we're talking about basketball IQ, which is another issue, but a one we've discussed a lot lately. You got one or two choices if you're running the basketball operation. One, you change the players. Mm-hmm. You change the mix of the players. You come to the conclusion that another voice, another coach will not be able to reach them either. That they, in terms of the IQ part, they kind of are what they are, or in terms of the moodiness part, we just got too many, and they reinforce each other. Or you say, we need another voice. We need someone else to take a crack at it, because I can't believe Conley likes hearing his best player, his foundational player, confirm yet again, we don't follow the game plan. I think that's an indictment on Finchie. I'm sorry.
I think it's an indictment on both entities, really.
Yes.
I mean, right? Like, I mean, Finchie certainly needs to command, and I will say, like, Chris Finch does not sit back idly and just say, well, if you guys aren't going to follow it, there's nothing I can do. Right. I mean, the stories of the browbeatings that happen in film sessions are legendary and legion under the Finchie regime. He will let these guys have it over and over again. And I think that he does get tired of doing that. Mm-hmm. And I do think it's one thing that he knows he can't do every single day, or else they really will kind of tune him out. But there has to be maybe a different kind of delivery of the message to get them to absorb it. But also, I mean, all of these guys are at this point been in the league for a long time, and they should know what is required of them. And we saw a lot of times, especially in the regular season, that it was a group that treated the game with a lack of respect. And that I don't think as much is on a coach. I think that's on the players to have a personal pride and a motivation internally to go out there and play hard most nights. You don't expect it 82 out of 82, but certainly expect it more than what they gave. Yeah. And so I think it is a leadership issue, and I think it is a coaching issue as well. They both have to wear that.
When we talk about moodiness, is that immaturity? I mean, let's try to define our terms here. Is that a symbol of a team that, even though they've got guys who've been around for a while, it's still not in that sense, as good as they're capable of being, that it's just flat out still an immature team?
Yeah, I think there is a lack of maturity, a lack of basketball IQ on the roster in terms of looking at what it takes. And I do think that there is a bit of laissez-faire attitude because they made the conference finals as a 6th seed last year. They got back in as a 6th seed and won in the first round. And so some of that gets validated inside of them. Yes. Wrongly, obviously, right? You know, you expect after losing game 5 to Oklahoma City by 1 million that they would all come back and say, we have a vendetta now. We have to restore our reputation in this league and show that we are capable of being incredibly ferocious and talented and successful. And we didn't see that for most of the year. And the frustrating thing is we saw it against Denver. They hate Denver. And so they got their motivation externally from Denver in that series.
In a way that they didn't from San Antonio, David.
And you cannot be a high-level team if all of your motivation is external.
No question.
It's got to come from inside you. And, you know, will a 30-point loss at home in Game 6 of the second round be enough to stoke those fires? Will some changes to the roster be enough? We'll see. But I think that no coach can just force that to happen. I don't think. And so that's internal, and they got to look in the mirror in that way.
Can we get so preoccupied with these issues that we do not put enough weight on flaws, basketball flaws in this team, that when you add one upon another, makes it also very hard for them to get to wherever they think they want to go? I mean, I think you'll agree, we have no truly pure three-point shooter. We have no point guard. Much as we all love Conley, we know where he is at this point, right? Those are two pretty significant issues, and there are people who theorize that the point guard part of it also contributes to the moodiness, because if you had somebody who knew how to put the whole thing together and played a lot, maybe some of those issues go away. So if you're doing the percentage, the intangible stuff like moodiness and immaturity, and just basketball flaws in this roster, in this lineup, is it 50-50? Is it more basketball than the intangible stuff? How would you rank those?
Yeah, I would say that there is more of, I think it's more of a makeup issue than it is a talent issue, even though there certainly are things that you need to address talent-wise. Shooting, spacing, kind of a lot of those things. But we have seen this team, when it sets aside those internal, in between the ears types of issues and in the chest type of issue, like they beat Oklahoma City, they beat San Antonio, they beat Denver. Like they are capable of playing very well and being together. Are they capable of going to the finals in the West? I'm not sure about that, but I do think it is more.
They're better than they're playing.
They are better than they're playing. The one thing that I do want to warn people who all are clamoring for this point guard to come around, there is no point guard in the NBA anymore, guys.
Well, I don't think, speaking for myself, I don't mean it in the purest sense. Right. But I guess the way I would put it is, and I think do we have the soundbite, Guardsy, from Finchy regarding the original sin? the big decision that was made almost literally on the eve of the season, to the surprise of a lot of people. Let's listen to what Finchie had to say about basically moving Anthony Edwards to the de facto point guard position.
I think this year, obviously, there's some original sin that was created. I'm flipping Ant to the point guard spot just on the eve of the season. Probably, it certainly helped with Dante, but it kind of hurt. Probably didn't put everybody in the best position there, Ant included. But he had really good moments there, and I think it was good for him overall. But it maybe affected us as a team a little bit more. It kind of threw off the rhythm and style at which we had been playing. So that kind of ate into continuity. So you had conflicting goals here. So that's just being honest. So got to look at everything. Certainly going to be a big evaluation summer.
Doesn't have to be a pure point guard, but to me, if you're going to get the best out of Anthony, ask him to do all the other things you do, he's got to play off the ball more. And so you just have to have another backcourt mate who I think can do some of everything, but can occasionally pay attention to letting other people eat.
Yeah, I think, and if you want to look at things to put at Chris Finch's feet in his performance, I think that one is right near the top, not because of what he did, because I agreed with the move at the time, and I still will agree with the move because I don't think it was viable to have Mike Conley play 70 games. So he did get the most out of Dante DiVincenzo with that move, but that should have happened day 3 of training camp. There's no reason that they had to make that move that late in the process.
Great point.
And so the way that I look at this roster going forward is, if you put Ayo Dosunmu next to Ant at the start of the year next year, that could help. Mm-hmm. Or if it's a Kyrie Irving or someone like that, that could help. But here's what needs to happen for this team to take the next step, is that every summer for the past 4 years, we have seen Anthony Edwards dissect what his weakness is and wipe it out. I need to be a better three-point shooter. Now I'm one of the best in the league. I need to be a better clutch time player. Now I'm one of the best in the league at that. Now this summer has to be dedicated to, I need to be able to get my teammates involved more. And
his assist numbers actually went down this year, right?
Yes. Yeah. And so I think that was poor on Ant's part. And I do think there was some frustration within the team about, man, he's got to get me the ball more. He's looking too much for a shot, things like that. And so this summer should be geared toward reading the game and understanding that the ball is likely going to be in your hands a lot, whether you're the point guard or not. And so how do you get everyone else involved and make them come along with you? And I think that it is viable that he will come out of the summer, if he dedicates himself to it, much better in that area. Again, will he be Luka? Will he be Harden? Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah.
But he can take a step up, and then you put another combo guard next to him, and that is going to create a little bit more flow and a little bit more symmetry in your offense.
Am I showing a measure of my desperation and frustration with the current condition of the club if I say the prospect of exploring a Kyrie Irving acquisition excites me?
No, I don't think so, because I do think that you have reservations. He's in Dallas.
But in terms of
he should be ready to go for next season. He's coming off of an ACL, so you worry about injury.
He sat out the whole year.
He sat out the whole year. Yeah. You worry about injury. You worry about age for Kyrie. But as someone who I think right before his injury had done an amazing job of putting the baggage that followed him kind of
I agree
behind.
Totally.
He had really seemed to embrace being a leader, being a teammate, all of those things.
And I'll still being kind of a number 2 guy.
Yes.
Some of the time to Luka, right?
Correct. Yes.
He seemed to settle into that and accept it.
And the upgrade would be his ball handling is maybe the best in the entire history of this league.
Yeah.
And Ayo is a good ball handler. He's not a great ball handler. Dante was not even a good ball handler for a lot of times. And so if you're looking for someone to take pressure off of Ant, and initiate offense. And as long as he can give you 65 games.
That's the question.
That's the question. But I would be very much in favor of bringing Kyrie Irving in and having another guy like that next to Anthony Edwards.
And what kind of deal is that?
That's the great question. I think that it would probably have to be aided by Kyrie telling Dallas, look, I don't want to stick around for rebuilding. Because I'm sure if Dallas would love to have him next to Cooper Flagg and, and their guys that they have coming in. But,
the big age gap.
It's a big age gap. And I think Kyrie's at $35 million or something. So it's not trading for Giannis. Yeah. It's not trading for $65 million. Mm-hmm. And so is that a Julius Randle goes home to Dallas type of a swap? I don't know. But it's attainable. I think the Timberwolves could put together enough of a package to make it worth Dallas's while if the Mavericks wanted to do something like that.
$39.4 million next year for Kyrie, a player option, 27-28 for 42.4.
And that's okay. One of the reasons they got off of Towns was he was going up into the 50s and 60 millions. A 39 and 42 for a number 2 or number 3, depending on what he is at this time, would be interesting. And then I think that would also allow, which I think is a very intriguing option, is to open a pathway to Jaden McDaniels being more of a number 2 scorer. I think that Jaden got lost in the shuffle a lot this season, and it may have contributed to his inconsistency in the playoffs as well. And so if another way you're looking to take that leap is clear a little space, have Jaden be your number 2, and then maybe Kyrie at this stage of his career is a number 3.
Does this presume Randall's gone?
I would assume so. Mm-hmm. I would think that would be the case. I can't see Randall wanting to stay and then taking a lesser role. Yeah. That would seem to be a lot.
What's Kyrie's age, Guardsy? 32?
He'll be 34 this upcoming season.
So he's a little older. He's had a full year off.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a little less tread on the tire, but you would be concerned about injury and about his ability to be, 65 games, 32 minutes a night type of a guy.
Texter 612 writes, Dan, you don't like Randall for being moody and you want to bring in Kyrie. I'm fully on board, by the way, but he is as moody as they come. The comeback is what you just said. I was as critical as anybody about Kyrie several times along the way. Something seemed, maybe it's luck, I don't know. Something seemed to click in a way that I looked at him very different. He did everything that anybody who's been demanding a different approach from him could ask in Dallas, right? The only thing that got in the way now was a bad injury.
That's exactly right. I mean, I was around him during that series. I have only observed him from afar. I have no relationship with him whatsoever. But to me, it was palpable, the shift in just the energy that emanated off of him. He just seemed to have really settled into his lot in life and understood what was needed of him. And so I would not be concerned hardly at all about any sort of personality, character things with Kyrie, like you may have been concerned about it when he was in Boston or early Brooklyn days, things like that. 763
guy thinks there's another solution.
Please.
And he thinks there'd be something almost, fitting about Steph Curry finishing his career in Minnesota after we passed twice on him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure Steph's ready to come to Minnesota.
Full circle moment. Yeah. I'm sure he would be emotional about it. He does love Ant. They get along really well. I don't think Steve Kerr would have signed that 2-year contract extension if he thought that was on the table. Yeah. So I wouldn't hold my breath for it.
All right. Let's make this the top of the hour break. Jonny Athletic in studio for another half hour minimum. And what you brought up raises the larger question that we need to address on the other side of the break, and that is whether already you have enough belief in your knowledge covering this team that this is not going to be an offseason where Conley sits, that it's going to be something big, it's going to be something bold. It may not work, but that whether it's what we've already discussed or some other things, that he ain't going to go 50% this time around. We'll give you a chance to think about that. We'll continue with the texts and continue our conversation with Jonny Athletic. He is our only scheduled guest today We do expect Billy Guerin on Thursday. One other quick item. I'm hearing this a lot. Tomorrow is when Conley's meeting you guys.
Yes.
Finchie is not. That's being interpreted as, but didn't Finchie already do?
Finchie met with us on Saturday morning afterward. This is the exact same scenario of the previous season where Finchie went first and then Conley went a couple of days later. Yeah. So order of operations is the same. I would not,
you would not read anything into that. No. That's what I thought. All right, we'll come back with more Johnny in a minute.
You're listening to Barreiro on the Fan.
From the 1-8